The NFL trade deadline is just around the corner next Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern. By the way, we'll go live on trade deadline day, so be sure to subscribe to us here at Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll cover every Bears trade rumor that's out there between now and then, so hit that sub button because coming up, we got some Bears trade rumors right here. All right, let's start with Brandon Scherff. Could he become a Chicago Bear? We already saw the Jags trade left tackle Cam Robinson to the Minnesota Vikings, and Vikings didn't have to give up much to get him either, so that's noteworthy. Fansided threw out a trade idea between the Bears and Jags that I kind of want to dive into. Brandon Scherff and a 2025 seventh-round pick to Chicago for Khalil Herbert, more on him in a minute, a 2025 sixth-round pick, and a 2026 fifth-round pick, so kind of a swap plus an extra pick. Throw in Herbert as a little bit of a sweetener there. That's their idea. Scherff having a good, not great year. That's kind of what he is now. He's not peak Brandon Scherff like Washington Brandon Scherff. He's 32, going to be 33 in December. But he's still a good player. Only has one penalty this year. No sacks allowed, so he's certainly solid. He's not someone that's going to come in here and ruin your offensive line. And with the injuries and the inconsistent play the Bears have had, he would probably be an upgrade over every guard you have except for Tevin Jenkins, who can't stay healthy, of course. Something to consider, though. He is 32. He is expiring. So if I'm going to trade for an expiring contract, I don't want to give up that much. Not that that trade is that much, but it is 2 draft picks. So it's not nothing either if you're the Chicago Bears. And listen, you look at this offensive line right now. Braxton Jones banged up. Tevin Jenkins banged up. Karan Amagaji injured. Bill Murray on short-term IR. Larry Borum and Ryan Bates, depending on when you're watching this, they've been working their way back from short-term IR. Certainly seems like Borum's going to be ready this week. We'll see about Bates. You got a lot of injuries. Nate Davis not injured, but he's been a healthy scratch because he's not really in the Bears' plans anymore. That might have to change for at least 1 week. And by the way, maybe it's an opportunity for the Bears to play Nate Davis, and if he plays well, maybe some team's interested. Who knows? But Scherff would certainly help in the short term. There's no doubt about it. You got the injuries. You got mixed results from your offensive line so far this year, especially on the interior. But with it being a rental, I can't offer much because, is Scherff at his age? Is that a guy you trade for and extend immediately? I guess you could give him a 1-year extension, I don't know, 1 year, $8 million through 2025. I guess I'd be cool with that. Then you've got one of your guard spots locked down for next year, and you kind of have more flexibility in the offseason. But I can't say I would offer that much for him. Revisiting the trade here, would you make this trade? T for trade, P for pass. I kind of look at this. Do you have to give 2 picks? Forget the 7th coming back. I feel like Herbert and a 6th for Scherff is plenty. I don't think you have to give up a 5th two drafts from now, especially with this trade market right now. It feels more like a buyer's market than a seller's market. But what say you? T for trade for this trade idea or P for pass? Let's get into the latest on Khalil Herbert. Brad Biggs reported this week that the Bears are allowing Khalil to seek a trade. He, of course, has not been in their rotation this year. I think he has 8 carries for 16 yards. We'll dive into Khalil Herbert, what his future could look like here in just a moment. But first, got to get a word in from our sponsor. That is GameTime. Shout out to GameTime for sponsoring Chicago Bears Now. And listen, get off the couch. Go on a date. Take a significant other to a concert, a comedy show, a sporting event, and you're going to need tickets, and the best place to get those in a timely manner and for the best price is with GameTime. GameTime Picks, the feature of GameTime Picks is awesome. It makes going to watch your favorite teams play much easier because instead of just scrolling through thousands of tickets, it'll kind of just narrow down the search, show different price points throughout the venue, the stadium, and you can kind of figure out, okay, this is my budget, this is the quality of seat I can get. Click on that, and then you can go from there and figure out, okay, these are seats that I want or I don't, and it just reduces the time. It's very, very nice, so make sure you toggle through Game Time Picks and use that feature. They'll show you views from the seats. That way you know exactly what your vantage point is, regardless of the event that you are attending. You can check out Super Deals, which pop up every once in a while. You get discounted tickets on certain seats to certain events, so be sure to be on top of that. And also, last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. So here's what you need to do. Download the app, search Game Time in your app store, big white letter G, black background. That's how you'll know you're in the right spot. Download it, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS, all one word, CHATSPORTS, to get $20 off your first purchase only. Terms apply. What time is it? It's game time. All right, Khalil Herbert, who's not in the rotation, as I mentioned, obviously had a good 3 years here, 21, 22, and 23. This year he's found himself behind DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson. Swift has been awesome, especially as of late. Roschon's your short yardage, beefy back. He can do more things on third down as a pass catcher and blitz pickup guy. And then Khalil Herbert, who's probably a better pure runner than Roschon. He kind of is just the odd man out, right? We said this out of training camp. Someone's going to be the odd man out. Not many teams, you think like Ravens the last few years without that true RB1, maybe they would be a team that would rotate three backs somewhat frequently. The Bears are not that. Swift's their guy, and then Roschon comes in short yardage and on some third downs. That's pretty much it. But I would still think there's some team out there that could use Khalil Herbert's services. That being said, he has an expiring deal. Teams know the Bears aren't using him. You're probably looking at a late-round pick swap if you're lucky. And, I've kind of said all along, is that worth it? I guess I'd be open to it, but you trade him for a late-round pick swap, Herbert and a 7th for a 6th, and then Swift sprains his ankle the next day, then all of a sudden you're kind of thin because you cut Velus Jones, so that experiment is over. He's in Jacksonville now, and this is what you're left with. Travis Homer's back and healthy, sure, but say Swift were to go down. A Roschon Johnson-Travis Homer pairing is kind of underwhelming, if I'm being completely honest. So, I'm open to it. He's not playing. If he I respect the Bears for allowing him to seek a trade. If he wants to have an opportunity elsewhere, I can't say I blame him. But I'm definitely not cutting him, like if you don't find a trade after the deadline. And I would think twice before just trading him for pennies on the dollar, just because if you do suffer an injury from one of your top two guys, you're kind of in trouble because Homer has more value as a special teamer, but to actually run the football, Khalil Herbert is still a quality player. What say you? Will Khalil Herbert get traded? If you had to guess, type Y for yes, or if you think no, type N for no. Get your votes in down in the comments section below. Let's talk a little Nate Davis, then we'll get out of this segment. ESPN still saying that Nate Davis is available and that the Bears are prepared to cover some of his $8 million salary. I think they would have to eat most of that if a team were to buy him. Now, does the offensive line injuries force the Bears to keep him at least through this week? And I kind of mentioned it on a different segment. Like, there's a scenario where Davis has to start this week. If Larry Borom has to play left tackle because of Braxton Jones and Karan Amagaji being out, we don't know for sure on Braxton as we're filming this, but I would guess he's out. Then Pryor may have to slide to left guard so Davis can play right guard because you're just getting thin. It'll depend on a couple things if they want to play Doug Kramer at guard or Ryan Bates, etc. But you may have to keep him at least through this week just from a depth purposes because you're out of bodies. You do have guys in the practice squad that you could elevate. Jake Curran, Chris Glazier, Theo Benedette, the Hard Knocks sweetheart, and then Austin Pleasance, who they brought in this week. So you've got guys, but as down as I've been on Nate Davis, like if I needed someone to play in a pinch this week, I would still probably rather have him out there. I do just wonder if these injuries piling up kind of forces the Bears' hand like, hey, at least for one game, you're going to have to keep him. Now, if you get through this game and feel like one or two of those guys are coming back, great. Maybe you trade him before Tuesday, but it also takes two to tango. Like, does someone want Nate Davis? I do wonder if Davis has to play this week and plays well, maybe that gives him a little trade value for a team before November 5th. So going to be an interesting few days for him and Khalil Herbert, who clearly don't have a lot of trade value, but are guys that it appears the Bears are willing to move on from. So what say you? Will the Bears make a trade, whether they trade someone away or trade for someone? We know Ryan Poles likes to wheel and deal. Type 1 for yes, they will, or 0 for no, they won't. Let us know in the comments section down below. All right, there you have it, the latest Bears trade rumors leading up to the NFL trade deadline on November 5th. My name is Harrison Graham. Lots more to come here on Bears Now.